Hi VC. With so much drama in the VC, it's kind of hard being a Snoop D-O double G, but I somehow, some way keep coming up with funky ass shit like every single day. Like for instance, today I was listening to Snoop Dogg's inimitable debut, Doggy Style. He fell off majorly after this album. I like the new one, 7 Days of Funk, but other than that, he's turned pretty sour to my ears anyway. There's been a lot of drama in the VC. I'm not going to even mention it or dwell on it other than to acknowledge the fact that sadly it's there. So the perfect antidote for that is for me to listen to some old school classics. For example, this one. This is Cluster's second album on Brain, Metronome label. This came out in 1972 or 1973. I'm very lucky to get an original Brain Metronome version of this one. Here we go. That's what the label looks like for all you label freaks. Extremely good album. Hadn't heard it in a while and pulled it very minute I saw it in the stacks. Kevin Dr. Strangely Strange was showing and playing this one recently. Hawkwind's inimitable live album, their best live album. Well, along with Volume 2, which was culled from the same series of gigs. This particular album does feature some edits of some heavy edits of some tracks and also some overdubs. Those overdubs and edits are taken out of the picture by this release, which came in the mid-1980s, Space Ritual Volume 2, again from the series of gigs that were held in Brixton, just outside London, and in Liverpool. So I never listened to the original one without following it sharpish with this one. Both of them are well worth seeking out. This one, the Space Ritual Volume 2, features much extended versions of tracks, particularly Brainstorm, Orgon Accumulator, and I think Time We Left. But certainly Brainstorm. And it's a fantastic album. Okay, for those of you that are not familiar with my channel, I've got an extensive enough collection of Hawkwind items, but the crown of my collection is this original tour brochure that was handed out at those very London and Brixton gigs. I'm not quite sure how many of them were released, but I was very lucky a number of years ago to win this in an auction. And you don't see them around. And this one has got no tears, rips, bends, or yellowings on it. So extremely happy to get that one. So for all you Hawkwind freaks, I thought you might like to see that one. But that's time capsuled very neatly inside in the package itself. Jeff, Vinyl Spin, great to see you back posting as well. You showed an inimitable video. One of the highlights of the VC videos for me this year has been your video, which you recently showed on Tangerine Dream and Edgar Froese. And you showed this one. This is an original pressing on Brain as well. Epsilon and Malaysian Pale by Edgar Froese, one of the founding members of Tangerine Dream. And this is the one that's spelt without the E at the start of it. I believe it was recorded in Australia. It has some links with Australia, but an extremely lush, beautiful recording. Really, really strong. I've Aqua as well, but this is the one that I always turn back to. I also pulled out some John Martin. This is a live album from 1975 that immediately followed his Inside Out album. This is live at Leeds University. This one, sadly, is not autographed nor is it numbered, hence I paid very little money for it. For anyone that's interested in buying these, you can pick them up, unautographed and unnumbered versions, but the original version of it, you can pick them up for decent enough money, I think about $20 to $25. So those of you that are John Martin heads, I strongly recommend you to pick these up while they last. It's an exceptional live album. This is the one with the white label as well. That's a tour brochure at the back for a tour he did about 10 years ago with the bassist Danny Thompson. Carm was showing some ECM stuff recently, and I was inspired by him to pull out my favourite Terji Ripdal, well, one of my favourite Terji Ripdal albums on ECM. This is called Odyssey. I've spoken about that at length before. This is the other one that vies for his greatest album, to my ears anyway. This is After the Rain. He plays all the instruments in this with the exception of voice. I think there might be some voice in this one, if I recall. Really beautiful guitar work on this one. Similar recording. And I also like this one, what comes after. I think this may be his second one, or it's certainly one of his very early ones. I think Terji Ripdal, his self-titled might be his first one. but Barry Phillips is on this one, and I know Carmen, you were showing some Barry Phillips ones recently as well, so there's a double tie-in to you there, my friend, on that one. Okay, so recent finds. Well, this one I've got a while. I haven't shown it yet because it needs a significant cleaning. This is a live date called June the 1st, 1974, because that's when it was performed, by Kevin Ayers, John Cale, Eno, Nico, and I also think that, what's his face, Robert Wyatt and Mike Oldfield also have turns in this. This is a pink rimmed island issue. It features tracks like some tracks from Eno's first album, and also a reimagining of the Doors track The End, which also appears on a Nico album. I'm not sure which one, but a nice album. Unfortunately not in the greatest condition, but I did get it for a very, very good price. Okay, so Scott Waters, I bought this a while back when I was going through my Iron Maiden fascination. The first two albums in particular were the ones that appealed to me, but I saw this limited edition double single, which is Run to the Hills and Number of the Beast, so I couldn't resist that one. This is a gatefold sleeve as well, really nice, so I was playing that recently too. And just last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I bought this one on the day of issue, which is Bill Fay's current album on the Dead Oceans label. This one I did not get as a 20% reduction, despite what the label says, because basically what happened was when I first bought this, it's a double album. It had 2 of disc 2 in it, so it had 2 sides 3 and 2 sides 4, but sides 1 and 2 were missing. So I promptly returned it. So I listened to I just pulled out the first disc and it was sides CD, so I listened to those quite extensively. They're excellent. I never got around to listening to sides 1 and 2 in the first week. I just kept on playing sides 3 and 4. And then 2 days ago I pulled out what I thought was sides A and B to find out that it was sides C and D again. So I had to go back to the store. They gave me a fresh copy. They cracked it open in front of me, but the guy gouged it with a knife, and even though the front cover was slit, I didn't really care because I thought the record was going to be fine, but I brought it home to my horror to find that it was all ripped. So I had to go back in. So this is the 3rd copy of this that I have. I do have a download cable in this, a download card. So any guys who want to try this out before they buy it, please PM me and I will email you the download codes that's available for this. It's a free download for whoever wants it. So this is his 2nd album in 3 years, I think, and he has come back from a hiatus of not recording for many, many, many years. So really nice album. I still have only listened to sides 3 and 4. I have to get to sides 1 and 2 yet. So recently when I picked up the 3rd one and I went back in yesterday, it has now got a 20% off tag, even though it's only 2 weeks old. But I think that may have been a May Day celebration price offer. Continuing on with the updates, Dave McCarthy and I revisited the filthy, dirty cottage in the Dingle Peninsula. It's a magnificent part of the world. Dave has posted his 2nd video of what we found on our 2nd visit to that particular hallowed venue. I still have to show what I got. Again, I will say that what I picked up wasn't really what I was looking for. I thought there might be more treasures buried deeper in there. It was hard work in there. I got there with my son Benjamin at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and Dave turned up around 12:30. So I'd already gutted out the place. Basically what I did was I grabbed a number of stacks and I laid them out on the front lawn, as this image that I'm about to show you will attest to. So I basically went through that, picked out what I thought was of interest to Dave and to myself, and picked out some items I thought that might be of interest to certain guys in the VC for trade, not for trade but for free. And then collected Dave at the train station, and the 2 of us hit it again. So I found some nice items. The first 4 items are the ones I was very, very happy to get. All of these were dirt cheap now. They're all like effectively €1, $1 each. I was looking through them for about an hour, and I was coming up with absolutely nothing. I'd found some pieces for Dave, alright, but nothing for suited my taste until I saw this promo version of Diggable Planets, Where I Come From, which is from their debut album, which is Reaching, a New Refutation of Time and Space. This is the 12-inch single on 33 RPM of 6 different versions of that particular track, where I'm from. So I just couldn't believe it, because like that was in the middle of like John Denver and Chris Christopherson, and I was just on autopilot, just flicking mindlessly through them, expecting to see nothing, and then suddenly this turned up. So I was very happy to see that. To which I remarked that there was a God after all. And then a couple of clicks later, I came across this one, which is Orange Juice, the Scottish band, post punk, I suppose you'd call them, but they're more kind of jangly than the post punk, than the traditional post punk sound. This is their second album. It's called Rip It Up. I'm sure most people are very familiar with the track Rip It Up, which is extremely funky. It features, I think they've had a change in personnel, because there is he Ghanaian or Nigerian, or I think he's certainly African. Zeke Manika, I think is his name. He's the drummer, so he featured in this album, and there's a number of tracks, maybe 2 or 3 tracks that are sung in his native language. It's a great effect, it has to be said. I like a lot of the tracks on this. I really was very impressed with it. I picked it up because I was familiar with, what's that track? Simply Trilled Honey, which is one of their earliest singles. Very, very, very impressed with it, with that particular track. So when I saw this, I was familiar with the band, and I said I would give it a spin, but I was very impressed with how it turned out. And this is their label. It's on Polydor, but it's called the Holden Caulfield Universal. Now, Holden Caulfield, if I remember, had some linkage with, was a Catcher in the Rye, or one of those books. Certainly he's a character from some literary classic. Okay, so that's Orange Juice from Scotland. Kev, I'm not sure if you have much orange juice, but if you do, I'd like to see what you've got and where I should go next in terms of picking up more orange juice. So I was absolutely thrilled to see this one as well. I was looking to get this one for a long time. Malcolm McLaren. This is from Krautrock, and this is the track Double Dutch, which is a brilliant track. I always loved this one. Always loved this one as a kid when I was growing up. This is the new dance mix with 8 minutes 40 seconds of madness on it, and 2 nice B-sides as well. So Double Dutch, delighted to get that one. That goes well with, what's the other one? I had 2 or 3 singles from this album. You know the one I'm talking about. Okay, and the final 2 pieces that excited me was this one. This is on the celebrated Bullseye Gail Lynn label, which is an Irish folk traditional music label. Seminal label set up by Sean Ariada, and this is a beautiful acoustic album, acoustic guitar with a magnificent tenor voice of Albert Fry, who's a gentleman from Belfast. He was a structural engineer by trade who worked in England for most of the Troubles in the 1970s and 80s. I read recently that he had a horrid time, because every time he was seen around buildings, they thought that he was an IRA member. He got in desperate grief over it. But he was a masterful musician. This is a magnificent piece. I'll leave a link for some tracks below. It's really, really, really nice piece of music. Modern Luan Kenesha, it basically refers to the 1798 rebellion that took place basically to kick out British imperialism from this country. And the author laments the fact that there's 4 provinces in Ireland. There's 52 states in America. There's effectively 4 states in Ireland, and 3 of the states rose up against the colonial powers for this rebellion. They armed themselves. They were peasants, obviously. They armed themselves with pikes, and they got the name the pikemen from that. But basically what happened was that 3 of the 4 provinces united and fought on 3 different fronts. The only province that didn't, sadly, was the very one that I'm in, Munster. So Jimmy, you're the Suave. Bobby Gas, you've got Cork roots. Jimmy, you've got Limerick roots. I've got Limerick roots. Dave, you've got Cork roots. What were our forefathers doing? We let our countrymen down big time. Anyway, this is a really, really, really nice album. I'm strongly recommending people to pick this one up. Anyone that's got an interest in folk music, in lilting ballads, it's not cloying at all by any means. It's kind of like Kings of Convenience. If you like Kings of Convenience, you will like this. Okay.
Castle nach Galatu, Garada Hul, the Harrow I go. Ner na real I to some Salargio with the
Another post-punk masterpiece. Dave also picked this one out. I had originally found a copy of this and I put it aside for Dave. And the pickings were so slim for me that when I came across this, I said I'd get it. I wasn't really looking for it. It's not something that I really was mad to get. Although, like when I did see it for €1, you know, I said I would grab it. But it's not something that was very high on my wants list. But there was so little else there that was of interest for me, I decided I would grab it at the last moment. This is Julian Cope's group from 1980, and this is their debut, and this is the second issue because it features the sleeve of the Kilimanjaro mountain. There's an incredible song on this called Sleeping Gas, which sounds just like a Public Image track. If you can just imagine Public Image with Julian Cope singing, that's what Sleeping Gas would sound like. Great, great track. Really, really nice. I love Poppies in the Field as well. Another great track from it. Then I saw this one, Dave Brubeck's Greatest Hits. This is an original on One Eye Orange CBS. So that was a nice pickup. Tim Finn, I have a sneaking fascination for all things, what's their band name? Crowded House. Tim Finn and Neil Finn, who are Kiwis of Irish origin. But I really like this guy's voice and I like his songwriting talents. So I saw this one for €1 and I couldn't resist. So that's another one that I picked up. Then I came across this one here, Art Tatum, Clef series. It's pretty fucked, like, in fairness. The sleeve is tarnished beyond belief. But it's a Columbia Clef issue, so I definitely picked that up. One of the greatest jazz pianists of all time, Art Tatum. And this one I picked up. My brother is a massive fan of Human League. An absolutely massive fan of Human League. He lives in London, so this will shortly be getting his way over to him. Features an interesting cover version of Get Carter, you know, the movie starring Michael Caine, the one that's up in Newcastle. Some good songs in this, actually. Open Your Heart is really nice. Okay, so that's... And there's infamy about this album. It may have been the last album that Lester Bangs listened to when he died. I think it was... They found that this record was playing. Not to say that it drove him to anything nefarious or anything like that. Dave, you bought me this one, which is the very loose, soft cell, non-stop, exotic cabaret. Thank you very much. I enjoy this one hugely. I particularly like the track Chips on My Shoulder. I really enjoy this. I didn't think it would be as good as it turned out to be. It's on some bizarre label. And there was so much classical stuff there, I couldn't but not pick this one up. Cavallera Rusticana by Mascagni. I love this particular operetta, the pieces from it, particularly the ones that were used in the Raging Bull movie starring Robert De Niro. Really, really nice sweeping score. So I couldn't leave that one down when I saw it. Vivian Green. Now, I used to have this way back in the days when I used to listen to New Soul, and she is an American lady, I think, and this is a sampler for the album called A Love Story. I used to have this on CD years ago. I don't know where it's gone to, back when I used to listen to Jill Scott and Erykah Badu, but really nice. There's a brilliant track on this called Fanatic that I used to love back in the day. Mark Dr. Rhythm, no doubt you would be very familiar with this particular lady and of that, also with that track Fanatic. Okay, some other small pieces I've got. Running at 19 minutes, so I better rush. This is another single on Gail Lynn label. It's Bullseye as well. And Dave, that artwork looks like that guy Marky Roberts, doesn't it? I'm not sure about it, but it certainly looked like Marky Roberts' signature artwork. Okay, I got a CD, Bill Frisell. That was only €1. Ghost Town. It's a solo album by him. I'm not quite sure when it was released. I don't know much about it, other than the fact that it's by Bill Frisell, who I'm clearly familiar with. I saw him last year in in a series of gigs that were held. He curated a series of gigs in Kilkenny last year with Gloaming and also with Sam Amadon. And I saw him live and met with him. He's a very nice guy, actually. And then finally, another VC shout out to a few VC members, actually, to Andreas, Sonic Mainliner, Roger Coleman, and there's one or two others as well. They recommended this album, which they said sounded quite like John Martin and maybe early Van Morrison. This is Riley Walker, Primrose Green. I took their advice and I bought the CD version because there has been some murmurings and chatterings about how poor the European pressing of this particular release is. So I went ahead and heeded their advice and bought it on CD. So that's it, VC. That's my lot. Thanks for staying with me and for bearing with me, and accentuate the positive. This is a great, wonderful community that we have here. It provides me with a safe sanctuary from the pressures of life. It's a forum which I can speak to contemporaries about our shared interest in music, and long may it continue, and let's keep this stuff alive. Okay, take care.